Hello, veterans. It's George Christos for the Veterans Information Channel. Got a few things to talk about today. I found a real nice app that could be real helpful to a lot of veterans. Whether you're, have a claim in, or you just want to know about benefits, or just want to know what's going on, how they're spending our tax dollars with the VA. But the Military Times has an app that you could, download on your phone. It's just Military Times, but it has at the top you'll see where there's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, so all the different divisions of the U.S. military, and you can get the latest news, what's going on with the VA and veterans benefits. So right now, we've had a 2-year delay in the approving of some illnesses for Agent Orange. So going back to 2016, when VA Secretary David Shulkin was the head of the VA, he promised to add 3 or 4 presumptive illnesses to the Agent Orange list, and he never did. Said he was going to, and now we have a new head of the VA, and Robert Wilkie. He's pretty much doing the same thing. So Congress, they've passed a budget here recently in December 2019. And it was an increase. The VA budget was increased to $80 billion, $80.2 billion for health care in 2020. Now, $9 billion of that is going to for-profit companies for veterans to go to medical care out to the outside, which I have not had any good experiences with medical care on the outside of the VA. Some have, some haven't. Majority of veterans that I talk to, that have chronic illnesses, especially from Agent Orange, they don't get much help on the outside. Get a little bit of help at the VA. They're actually treating veterans for bladder disorders, thyroid disorders, what they call a Parkinson's-like tremor, okay? But they don't recognize that as Agent Orange, even though the scientists, the engineers, all the academics, hard word to say, but the medical academia, engineering academia, science academia, they've all conducted studies because the VA 2 years ago stopped studies on Agent Orange. So the private doctors and scientists who see that this is a problem, they're doing research on their own, and the government's not participating. So something that's very interesting, when you look at 3.4 million veterans served in Vietnam between 1961 and 1975. I say it again, 3.4 million. So 3,400,000 U.S. military were either in Vietnam, on the ground, up the river, or just offshore, in ships. And the ships that were offshore were pretty close in. I know the destroyers that I was with, we were about 1,800 yards off the beach in North Vietnam. So we were pretty close in, but we also took that destroyer up the Saigon River into the brown water. So, but this is a real problem here. John Tester, he's the head of the Senate's Veterans Affairs Committee. He wrote a letter just in the past week to the VA, to the head, the Secretary of the VA, who, as we know, is Robert Wilkie, and he gave them 30 days to respond. 30 days to respond because Congress has allocated the money. They increased the VA healthcare budget, and with the understanding that, for example, bladder cancer, hyperthyroidism, which is the thyroid, okay? I know people that have thyroid problems. I know people that have bladder cancer. They're still alive, luckily, some of them. And then there's this Parkinson's like Tremors, and I know what that is because, yeah, you're not shaking all the time, but you can feel a vibration in your extremities that's not normal. Just put it that way. So, and then hypertension, which is high blood pressure. You know, a larger amount of Vietnam veterans have high blood pressure than the normal population. So 1% that served in the military, and they have a higher rate of high blood pressure than the 99% of people live in this country. So, the scientists, the engineers, the medical academia, they say high blood pressure is a result of Agent Orange. Now, right now, today, the VA healthcare system has diagnosed 300,000 Vietnam veterans with bladder cancer. I'm going to say that again. The VA healthcare system has diagnosed 300,000 Vietnam veterans with bladder cancer. Now, this information is coming directly from the Military Times. So, it's a website that you can trust. It's an app that you can put on your phone, and you can get it, anything that happens on a daily basis, hour by hour, that has to do with the military, whether it's launching a new ship. For instance, JFK, there's a new aircraft carrier that's been built, and it's actually been launched, but it's going to be 2.5 years of outfitting. But it's in the water. The Kennedy family, had a ceremony where they broke a bottle on it, and it's in the water, but it'll be 2.5 years before it's in active duty. So, I would urge you to go to the Military Times, their website, just militarytimes.com, or go on your phone, download the app, and you could have up-to-date information on any changes in benefits, what's Congress trying to pass, what's been passed, what's been put into action. We've had a couple things here that have changed. There's the Blue Water Navy, ships that were offshore of Vietnam who've been denied health care, denied that Agent Orange had anything to do with their illnesses. It's been passed. But the sad thing is, and I keep repeating myself, but 3.4 million U.S. military served in Vietnam. That's a government statistic. It's been verified by every veterans organization across the country, the DAV, the VVA, the American Legion, the VFW, So, there's no less than 500,000 still alive. And out of that 500,000, the VA healthcare system says that 300,000 of them have bladder cancer. That should shock everybody should be shocked by that statistic. And so this is just real good information. You're a veteran, or you have a veteran in your family, or you want to make sure that your family, if you're a veteran, is up to date on what benefits they may receive now when you're gone, whether it's burial, health care, compensation. I would highly recommend this Military Times app. It is, virtually hour by hour new information. And on kind of a sad note, I'm going to just throw this in at the end, is something I found out about the Purple Heart recipients. Purple Heart recipients, which is a pretty big number that are still alive. They have an organization. So that organization has lacked. It gets no federal money. It's all based on membership and donations. But sadly, because they don't have the budget, they don't have the money, they're still going to be around. But they have to close 100 offices. 100 offices across the country. There's approximately 2 in each state. That is a service organization for the Purple Heart recipients. And they have to close those offices because they can't afford to keep them open. And it's a shame that we need to get some donor, somebody that's got a lot of money to throw around, to maybe fund that. Gee, it's really sick, because starting next month, January 1st, 2020, they're going to start closing these offices that serve Purple Heart recipients. So appreciate you for you listening, and I try to make these broadcasts concise, short, to the point. Sometimes there's a lot of information to digest, but I try to narrow it down to an outline. So please subscribe to our channel if you can. Pass the information on to other veterans. You can repost us over on your Facebook and Twitter. So we want just more veterans to know what's going on and how they can help themselves, because if you don't ask for help, you're not going to get it. It's just the way it is. So they can, once they get this information, you see what's going on. You may want to call your congressman, your senator, John Tester's office. That's a good one to call his Washington, D.C. office, Senator John Tester, because he cares and he wants to hear from you. You may not get to talk to him directly, but you can leave a message. You can talk to people on his staff and, get your questions answered. That's the man that can, better than the VA, can answer your questions. People at the DAV, you can call the central office of the DAV. You can call their 800 number or go on their website. They're located across the river. It says Cincinnati, but they're actually across the river in Kentucky. So you can give them a call and talk to a service officer. Join the DAV, the VFW, the VVA. Get some help. So it's George Christos for Veterans Information Channel. It's all for right now, and thanks for listening.